What's up, everybody? I'm back. Okay, all right, let's start it off with the Dilla in the street. I love this beat. I always wish someone would rap on this shit. It's funny, even now they're not rapping on it. Anyway, this is the last boom bap track I've liked from anyone, period, actually, I would say. Little niggas. Let's go, Flush. Shout out to Royal Flush.
You talking to a murderer. I'm in the streets with the burning tuck. Feds bag y'all just to get to us. I fuck you up, nigga, you ain't get jumped. Niggas nowadays just front. Catch me on college trying to get lunch. With your bitch trying to get nuts. Y'all niggas just make a nigga laugh. Trying to chase your dick while I'm getting cash. I run inside the house, I don't need a mask. I'm killing everybody when the gun blast. They say a dead man can't talk. Niggas want beef when they call pork. Till the body's tracing that white chalk. Even when I sleep, I gotta keep a hawk. You never know what niggas want on my fork. Real niggas never take no loss.
No loss.
Way Flush known as a street boss. Fuck with your bitch and then the bitch lost. You don't know what the juice costs.
Facts.
Just brought lots to be floss. You get mad when your cable's off. Trying to borrow money,
Get your cable on.
Only nigga like you is your A&R. My name was Roy Flush, I'm buying out the fucking bar.
Come on, man. Like, this is the thing. Niggas want beef, but they call pork. See, the thing is, if you're an older rapper and you make dope shit, I'm gonna listen to it. If it's not dope, I'm gonna say it's whack. I mean, it's really this simple. We gotta be honest, man. We gotta be honest. Of all the older rappers dropping, I mean, this song is better than anything Raekwon has dropped in like 5, 6, 7 years, right? I mean, really. Let's be honest. This is better than anything on Supreme Clientele 2, Ghostface Killers, or whatever. This is better than any Nas song I've heard since, I don't know, No Bad Energy or something like that, or even before. The music has to speak for itself. Anyway, the reason I'm here is I saw this pop up and I was like, you know what? I want to react to this. I have not actually seen this video, so I'm very curious to see how it'll play out. But Shyheim is someone we all know and respect. He has some joints. If you haven't heard Shyheim, here. What are some Shyheim songs that you should listen to? What's my favorite? One's for the Money. Oh, I love that shit. Yeah, that was... this was hard. And the video version too, because there's... Anyway, this was hard. One's for the money, two's for the show. Anyways, that's off, kind of. It's not really aligned well. But anyways, I love One's for the Money. What's the other one? Young Gods. Oh, I love Young Gods. Young Gods. I even quote that sometimes. You guys know my channel. I'm mob deep. I forever be on some wild shit, running wild through New York City. Stapleton is where I'm from. I rock jewels to shine like the sun. Stapleton is where I'm from. See, I haven't heard the song in years, but it's just, you remember these bars because you listen to these songs over and over again, and the bars is crazy, right? Young Gods. What's the other one I really like? Oh, of course, Furious Anger's crazy. Big L, right? I mean, so Shyheim has classic songs. Don't get it twisted, right? I wouldn't say necessarily has like a classic album, but he certainly has classic songs. Okay. How could I forget? One of the doper, speaking of boom bap, one of the doper boom bap songs, and like, because boom bap really fell off to me in like the 20. I mean, it fell off before that, but I would say 2010. You know, like from 2010 onwards, it fell off really. Dust, the Dust Juice. Oh. Yo, this shit was hard, man. This is hard. I love this shit, man. This is that like shadow boxing, not even shadow. This is Swordsman, that dark RZA type shit, almost. You know. If you haven't heard the song, you really need to listen to this. Max Payne.
tapeworm bulletproof. Slow motion, you will be moving in it. You'll be so wet, your mind off in space. I know a lot of niggas who love the experiment taste.
Oof. Anyway, so Shyheim, he's got some joints. Again, when you guys talk about, you put these guys on lists, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, they're nowhere close to being as dope as Shyheim. So how could Kendrick and J. Cole be on any list of anything dope when they've never made a song as dope as just Dust Juice? And you're going to be like, oh, no one knows Dust Juice. Well, niggas know. Hip-hop niggas know. Okay? It's not about who's more famous. It's about what songs have you made that people actually like or remember or at least can bump. Okay? Anyway, so Shyheim is talking about older rappers destroying their legacy. That's an interesting title. I wonder if he's going to keep it real about how we've been getting a slew of whack releases. Especially from, funny enough, from the Wu. Now, I know that Shyheim had tension with Ray in particular. I'm old enough to remember this. And so I do hope that he's not saying this out of, let's say, a conflict of interest where there's some sort of hidden agenda or beef. But even then, I think it's very important for someone in the industry who is respected on some level to be honest. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I've been saying for a long time about people dropping whack shit. The rappers you claim to be making dope music are actually dropping whack shit. That's just the truth, right? Now, let's see what Shyheim has to say, because I wonder if he'll keep it real. Shout out to BagFuel.
You mentioned something about legacy, and I'm about to have my first one-on-one conversation with Kid Capri about this, because I've been saying this and people are taking it and running with it. I keep saying the older rappers, some of them need to just retire and chill the fuck out, because they're just making music for no reason, and they ruin. And my big thing is, I feel like that they're ruining our legacy.
See, now I'm gonna pause right there. Number one, you can't just ask them to retire. You have to force them to retire. Nas, J, Big forced Kane, Rakim, and them to retire, even though they didn't actually. They kept going, which was dope. And they still, and again, think about how the dopeness of the new era for them, for Kane. Kane is on record basically saying, look, like, when these guys like Nas and them came out, like, I had to step my shit up. Like, I found, like, I was rapping and I was like, way too ahead of the beat, and the shit was weird, and I had to kind of figure out the new flow and work with and improve my shit, and then hang on for as long as I can. The problem is the new generation is not good enough to actually overtake the old generation. They're just not. They haven't put in the effort. They just haven't. I mean, the business doesn't even want them to, doesn't really put in the effort for them to do it anyways. The business is now, it's moved away from making real music into making, well, let's say clothes commercials or whatever, social media commercials, right? Which is why all these kids are obsessed with fame and goofy shit and not making music or anything that really speaks from the soul. The point is that the new generation, by talent alone, the only way you can really do this is by talent. You kick out the old generation if that's what you want. If you listen, if you want the older generations to start making better music or to retire, then you have to put their foot to the fire, right? As a new guy. But if you don't do that, they can just keep recording. They know they can get away with this stuff. Trust me, they're not stupid. The older rappers, they absolutely know. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is, I don't actually think that they're destroying their legacy, because these guys are cemented. I mean, let me take a look at my list. I always come back to this list of mine, but I'll show you what I mean here. So this is top 50 greatest rappers of all time, okay? Do you think if Jay-Z drops a whack album, I'm just going to use Jay-Z as an example, not that I think he would, but you never know. If Jay-Z drops a whack album tomorrow, do you think it is going to change Jay-Z standing on this list? No. So his legacy is cemented, okay? If Ludacris drops a whack album, do you think it's going to change his standing on this list? No, not at all. Now, if, let's say, I don't know, 50 drops Get Rich or Die Part 2 that happens to be insane, and it's like, you just never know. It just is just as good, if not better. I mean, it won't happen. But then he might move up on the list. Maybe he'll, go above Pac. Maybe. But either way, he's solidified. My point is that they can't go downward, really and truly. and certainly not far enough downward where it would matter. They are solidified. So it's not really, truth be told, they're insulated. Okay? So I don't think that they're destroying their legacy. It's a bad argument. And the old rappers don't care because they know they're solidified. Okay? They know you're not going to listen. Like, I was bumped into somebody just the other day, you know, I'm shopping. Shout out to him. I didn't remember his name, but hip hop dude. And he was like, yo, I like that new Supreme Clientele. And I was like, really? I thought that shit was trash. He said, well, I have heard people say that. I was like, well, how many times you bumped it? He's like, well, I only listened to it once. So you only listen to this shit once, but you're telling me that shit's dope? That's the definition of whack shit, bro. You know? And he laughed. But that's how it works. It's replay value. If it's one-time listen, that means it's trash. Okay? Now, Ghost is solidified. Supreme Clientele 2 is terrible. Terrible. But he's solidified. It is what it is, man. So they got to come up with a better argument.
Because anybody could get a joint with you, then you no longer
okay, I'm not alone. Okay, so thank God, because I'm saying, I said niggas, I said, yo, if this was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Method Man and Raekwon would never give none of y'all niggas fees ever. Never, ever.
Salesman versus businessman.
Never.
Sure.
Y'all could not even. They would crack the CD that y'all
that's
spit that dumbass
that's
shit.
Because
that's facts.
All right, we're gonna build, right? Because I tell people technology is king.
Okay.
And they say why? I say because once they switch up how they distribute the music, that's the king, right? Mm-hmm. So what the industry did was lower the value of the music,
that's
right? And gonna force everybody. You see them now selling their publishing, selling their catalog, right? But they're not paying attention and seeing where technology is going. That they're the same content that they giving you a penny for, they get a penny for now, they're gonna lock it up for the blockchain, and then now that same content is gonna be worth $30 million, $30,000, and you artists that signed these deals can't play in that field. Then you stuck, checkmate.
So what he's talking about overall is how, and I agree with him in this regard, it's a simplified version, but essentially what he's saying is, look, listen, you as a artist, right, are locked into, first of all, I apologize. I'm all over the place today. But this is actually a great book. Chokepoint Capitalism. Shout out to my man, Cory Doctorow, who I have met before. So, how big tech and big content captured creative labor market and how we'll win them back. Okay? This is actually a really good book to read, right? But essentially what he's talking about is tech has captured the audience and the creatives in this sort of like moat, so to speak. So essentially, like, let's use you as an example, or me even as a YouTuber, right? I make videos on YouTube, okay? My audience is on YouTube, okay? My audience, but really and truly, me and the creator, I'm beholden to YouTube, and also the audience is beholden to YouTube. If I were to set up my own platform, let's say, which is very difficult to do, but if I was to try to move my audience away from YouTube and sort of create my own thing, it's very difficult because there are ways in which media has been captured on the internet where it's like you kind of only really have to fuck with YouTube or let's say TikTok, for example, right? If you, like, for example, I mean, none of us really go to Dailymotion, right? Really. I mean, how many of us have used Dailymotion ever, right? It's a concentration of power. Now, essentially what Shyheim is getting at is, okay, you're an artist on Spotify, for example. You put your stuff on Spotify. Spotify ain't paying you shit, okay, really. I mean, you're getting 3/100ths of a cent or whatever per listen, okay? But all these people who are putting all their music, including established artists, are putting all on Spotify, okay? Now, Spotify is going to turn around, the owners of Spotify, and sell that, let's say, because now that business as a whole is worth billions of dollars, and they could sell that off to Universal. I mean, the Universal and them, the record labels, do own percentages in Spotify anyway. But the point is that what you're working for is so little in terms of value, but you're adding to something that is ultimately massive value for the big tech hedge funds involved. Okay, that's kind of what he's getting at. Okay, I know that's a bit of a loose explanation. And so, look, listen, if music at its core has been devalued, right, and art, and actually it's not just music, this goes for the film as well, but if art has been devalued, can you really be surprised when people make whack shit and do not put in the effort required? Because to put in the effort required, is actual money. It's not just effort. There is money being spent, really, when you think about it. That's time away from other jobs they could be doing. That's money that they need to support themselves, to pay the artists. If you want to do something, I mean, I'm working on a comic book now. It's costing me thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. It just is what it is to make this stuff, right? So if I were to put this out and just, put it on, let's say, a platform like, I don't know, Amazon, or not just Amazon, because Amazon is more for books. But let's say, for example, if it were like some MP3 shit, some music, and I put it on YouTube and I'm getting cents. So I've spent tens of thousands of dollars to get $1 in return. How does that work? But because I've put something of value on a platform, now that platform has more value, right? And some tech guy is going to run around and turn around, sell that shit for billions of dollars. Am I going to get any of that sale or revenue? Absolutely not. Anyway, that's kind of the point. And this is really at the crux, I would argue, of the matter. It's a money issue, really and truly, right? There's a reason why this stuff has been, the life force of creativity has been sucked out. I think we'll start there. It's number one, a money issue. And then there's also sort of socio-political issues as well. Cultural Marxism, diversity, bullshit, all that stuff. But it's a money issue first and foremost.
The thing is, the key is what you said earlier on. You're not desperate for money.
Yeah.
And when you're an artist and...
Well, you can't be when you were sweeping up prison hallways for $15 every 2 weeks. I'm on a come up. Listen, I'm not in competition with these rap dudes. Listen, let's get this straight. All you dudes that been out there for 20 years and 30 years that ain't have no hiccups. I went to prison twice. This is who I'm dealing with, right? Me and my brothers. We fresh out on parole. We trying to get our lives together. This is where I'm successful at. I'm successful. I'm a trophy to my brothers that's watching, that's still in there waiting to get out to do their things. Yeah, but hurry up.
Because people don't understand. We seeing all these artists sell their publishing, right? That's because the publishing ain't generating the money it once did. Is on purpose. Then, like Esso said, the first time, he's the first nigga to say this on camera. Then he says, once you sell it, what do they do, Shy? Diesel fuel it up.
I can show you emails, right? A company hit me up. They said, Shyheim, we can guarantee you 10 times what you're getting now, right? So I said, 10 times what I'm getting now?
Yeah.
I said, wow. I said, you would give me that? He said, yeah. I said, well, you know what that tells me? They what? I said, 10 times that is already out there for me. I just got to find it. Because you're not going to give me nothing without knowing that's guaranteed. Yep. So I know it's guaranteed. Yep. And the only reason, and that's with any job, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody hires you, right? I learned this just by, listening on my wife, like, cause she's a diamond deal for 20 years. She ran $1 million stores, right? Mm-hmm. So I've learned it from her salary. And I'm like, wait a minute. You get paid a quarter of what you make these people. So you run a $5 million store, but they only give you 6 figures a year. So then that's how they rate, how they gonna pay you. Mm-hmm. So now I said, oh wow. So I didn't need a manager. I needed a CFO, someone to evaluate me and go.
So okay, first of all though, now this is, I understand what he's getting at, and this will always be the eternal struggle of, are you getting paid what you're worth? If someone is setting up a business, are they, underpaying you? It's a whole thing. But at the same time, right? If a person runs a $5 million, I'm assuming in revenue, he's not being specific here. If a person took the business risk, okay, to set up a store, okay, and that store now generates $5 million in revenue a year, okay, them paying you 6 figures is not necessarily like, I don't know if they're, I think that's kind of fair, all things considered. If they were paying you 4 figures or 3 figures, I'd say fuck, right? But the point is, there are obviously, come on, in business, there's obviously merchandise, there's all kinds of costs, okay? There's all kinds of costs that are required that the manager probably doesn't have to deal with, but the owner has to deal with ultimately. And it is obviously on the owner's head. And remember, I believe in profit. I do think that profit is important. It's not just breaking even. Profit is very important because without profit, you can't scale. The whole point of why we enjoy what we enjoy in the Western world is because people were able to scale things. right? So a profit is extraordinarily necessary. You have to make a profit, and it's got to be a healthy profit. Now, I mean, I'm not expecting someone to make, 13,000x, right? That's a different thing. I mean, there are people who are doing that, which is wild. But my point is, it's important to make a profit. So it's not just, you can't just balk at someone being like, oh, they're making a profit off me. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Them making a profit off you doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing a bad thing. In fact, they're doing a good thing. The question is how much, right? Now, you're not going to know, obviously, because these are the things that are usually kept from you. But if you engage in a business relationship with someone that you think is relatively fair or a decent human being, then it's probably I think it should be fair, right? Ultimately. That's all it is. And again, it's kind of, and then I would say it's also not on your part to really determine that in a way, right? Like, again, ultimately, someone else took the business risk and the time to set up the thing that you not work for. So it's really them that will determine how fair it is, right? But again, there's human decency. You get my point.
Okay, Shyheim, I can guarantee you $1 million a year, and I say, well, now I'll give you 100 grand, champ. Right, so that's the things you learn, and unfortunately, once you know it, you become the enemy because they feel you're gonna tell the other slaves, and then once you tell the other slaves, keep them out.
I'm number one.
Well, and also to this point too, right? Like if people are offering real services out here, okay? If I've made some stuff and someone comes to me and says, look, listen, I can get you, way more value for this thing, right? Because I offer connections, a service, I know how to do this stuff. Yeah, I mean, they're not doing it for the goodness of their heart. They're going to make a profit too. And I would want them to make a profit because if they make a profit, I can make a profit. So again, this is part of the negotiation. I sometimes I feel, and I'm generalizing here, but sometimes there's an attitude I would say in hip hop, let me just use hip hop, where it's weird because it's almost anti-business in a sense, right? And that's not what it's about. It's weird because people will floss and be like, yo, I want this and this and that, and I made this and I got this car, but then it'll be like, oh, but the record label is raping me. And it's like, well, are they really though? Are they really, like, or is it business? Like, I mean, again, we know that the record industry can be shady, 100%, right? Industry 10 now, 180 or some shit. Record companies are shady, right? We know, but at the same time, it's not all evil, right? And again, when you demonize certain things that shouldn't be demonized, you end up losing.
Number one.
How about this? Hold on,
bro.
Hitmaker, which is Young Berg, came to Esso privately
I don't want
and
to hear
said,
about fucking Hitberg, man.
you would have already
Hitmaker.
had a corporate job.
He said they want you back in the building. They want me to come back to the music business. He said, but they scared you gonna tell niggas.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Skip.
All
Get
the
to
time, you have to know what you're in.
But Shyheim, being a slave.
Fuck out of here. I'm not listening to you guys for business advice. I've already given my point. Like, we talking music? What's going on?
Come here, nigga. I got you now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because there's two ways to look at it, right? Me, I come in the room seeing how I can add on.
Whatever, nigga.
Throughout the country. Right? So you also have to learn, like you said, read.
Okay. All right. Sorry, guys. I don't want to bore you because this is the problem, right? Like, niggas just be yap. Anyways, I checked and saw that there was no real hip-hop news going on. It's dry right now. Everyone's waiting for the next, big announcement, I would say, of someone dropping. And then we'll get a slew of people all dropping all at the same time, right? Coward shit. So, are these people waiting for Nas and Primo, and then all of a sudden we'll get releases from everybody? Is that how that's going to happen? Hey, let's go back to Supreme Clientele 2 for a second. I have not listened to it, period. I have been listening to Ghostface, Mighty Healthy a lot. Now, what do I want to say about the Supreme Clientele 2? I was having a conversation with my boy, Jahari, shout out to him. And look, at the end of the day, right, for you to be a hip-hop head, you got to be current, okay? You got to be current. Now, the reason I'm playing this, or I won't play this because it's not that great. This is actually one of the better songs that Nas put on that, his Mid's Diseases, whatever. But it's not great. And I'll get to the point of why I even mention this. The problem with a lot of older hip hop heads, quote unquote, is that they stopped listening to rap in 2004. And you can tell. They're just not up on new shit. They don't know what's going on. But they still want to claim that they're like the most knowledgeable. They're still so down with the culture. It's like, nah. Hip hop is a train. It keeps moving, right? If you got off the stop 20 years ago, you're no longer on that train. Respectfully, you know your era, maybe, if that. But that's where it ends. You have to be current. Because the truth is, if you compare what Nas is doing to, let's say, a 21 Savage, right? Modern Nas, quote unquote, makes worse music than 21 Savage. Like, if you were to take, let's give Nas from 2015 to present versus 21 Savage to present, right? 21 Savage came out 2015, 2016. I'm taking 21 Savage's music. Now, Nas in his prime, Nas in 2001, Nas in 1993, 1994 is miles ahead of 21 Savage, ever. I know that. But we're also thinking about what's going on. What have you done for me lately, right? What's going on right now, okay? What's going on right now is that 21 Savage makes better music, and you can just hear it. The problem with some of these old heads is because they don't know about 21 Savage, they don't listen to 21 Savage's shit, they're so stuck in that particular era. So when they hear like a Nas song like a Spicy, which has a fairly generic trap beat, they're like, oh, this is dope. It's got that swagger that the new kids have, but it's updated. It's still, and you're like, nah, this is not that great, man. Again, for someone who is not familiar with trap music, this might sound hot to them. But to me, I'm like, can we just put on some No Advance or some shit? Can we put on something a little harder, actually? And this is the point, okay? You can't be stuck. If you're stuck, you're not really in the conversation, unfortunately, right? And look, I'm not saying that you have to like stuff. This is another problem because sometimes old heads, they'll like something because they feel like they have to. This is why you get the Kendrick cosigns and all that. They don't want to seem like they're old. And this is who Kendrick and his stans target. They target the insecure, washed individual, right? You can't be afraid to seem washed. Because if you're afraid to seem washed, then you're washed. Right? That's just how these things go. You don't have to like anything. I don't listen. Like when I tell you about Glorilla, for example, right? I don't have to like Glorilla. I just like it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the shit go. Right? Let's go, right? Is it Nas in 94? Of course not. Of course not. Will it ever be? Of course not. But a good song is a good song. There are levels. Remember, I've told you, there are levels to the shit. I was watching Training Day just the other day, right? I hadn't seen it in a long time. If you haven't seen Training Day, well, I mean, who's not seen Training Day, right? Training Day is a very good movie, okay? There are levels to this shit. I would say, in fact, Training Day is I'd say Training Day is a great movie. But I would not say that Training Day is a best ever type of film, personally, right? There are levels, right? So, for example, in the thriller crime genre, okay, I mean, Seven is a better movie than Training Day. Let's just be honest here. Seven is like, if you haven't seen Seven, you gotta watch Seven, right? Crime, okay, well, that's crime horror, so it's not exactly the same thing. Seven is right? But there are levels, is what I'm trying to say. There's incredible, there's great, good, mediocre, this is not good at all, and garbage. There are levels to this shit, is what I'm trying to say, okay? Like anything. So, I think I will end it on that note. Thanks for coming out, as always, and I'm here. All right, love y'all. Peace.